The moment Zara hit send, her entire life changed forever. She stared at her phone in horror. The message, "Baby, I need you, I'm ovulating. Come home now," was supposed to go to her boyfriend Marvin. The same Marvin who had been ignoring her calls for 3 days. But instead, it went to an unknown number. A number that had been saved in her phone under "Do Not Contact, Lee." 3 dots appeared immediately. Then a reply came through that made her blood run cold. "I don't know who you are. But you just made a very interesting mistake. Don't move. I'm tracing this number." What Zara didn't know was that she had just texted Lee Min-ho, the most dangerous mafia boss in Seoul's underground. A man who hadn't laughed in 5 years, until now. And he was already on his way to find her. Before we dive into this story, if you love drama, dark romance, and stories that will have you screaming at your screen, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Trust me, you're going to want to see how this ends. Now, let's get into it. Zara Okonkwo was having the worst week of her life. At 27 years old, she was a successful event planner who had moved from Atlanta to Seoul 3 years ago to expand her business. She spoke Korean fluently, had built her company from the ground up, and was known in the industry for her sharp mind and even sharper tongue. But right now, she was a mess. Her boyfriend of 2 years, Marvin, had been acting strange lately. Distant. Cold. And for the past 3 days, he had completely ghosted her. Meanwhile, her ovulation app had been sending her aggressive notifications. Her biological clock wasn't just ticking, it was screaming. "This man better answer his phone," Zara muttered, pacing her luxury apartment in Gangnam. She had already called Marvin 12 times. Nothing. In a moment of desperation, and perhaps temporary insanity, she decided to send him a text that would get his attention. She typed quickly, "Baby, I need you, I'm ovulating. Come home now." She hit send. Then she looked at the screen. And her heart stopped. The message hadn't gone to Marvin 2 hearts. It had gone to a contact saved as "Do Not Contact, Lee." No, 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 and no. Zara grabbed her phone with both hands, as if she could somehow reach into it and pull the message back. But it was too late. The message showed "delivered." Then read. Her mind raced. Who was Lee? Why was that contact in her phone? Why had she saved it as "Do Not Contact"? Then it hit her. 3 months ago, at an elite private event she had organized for Seoul's wealthy underground businessmen, a server had accidentally spilled red wine on one of the guests. The guest had been terrifying, tall, devastatingly handsome, with cold eyes that looked like they had seen death and caused most of it. The server had been dragged away by security, and Zara, never one to stay silent, had marched up to the man and demanded he show mercy. The room had gone silent. People looked at her like she had just signed her death certificate. But the man had simply stared at her, something flickering in his dark eyes. Then he'd handed her a card with his number. "You have fire," he had said, his deep voice sending chills down her spine. "If you ever need protection, or a favor, call this number." She had saved it under "Do Not Contact, Lee," as a reminder to herself to never use it. And now she had just told Seoul's most dangerous mafia boss that she was ovulating and needed him to come home. Her phone buzzed. "Lee, I don't know who you are. But you just made a very interesting mistake. Don't move. I'm tracing this number." Zara's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Zara, wrong number. I am so sorry. Please ignore that message. It was meant for someone else. Please don't trace anything. I'm nobody. Forget this happened." 3 dots appeared. "Lee, nobody texts a number saved as "Do Not Contact" by accident. You wanted my attention. Now you have it. Zara, I literally have you saved as "Do Not Contact, Lee." Does that sound like someone who wanted your attention? There was a pause. Lee, you remember me. Zara, kind of hard to forget the most terrifying man I've ever met. Lee, terrifying. Interesting. Most people just say, dangerous. Zara, dangerous men don't scare me. Terrifying ones do. There's a difference. Another pause. Longer this time. Lee, I traced your number. Zara Okonkwo. The event planner with the sharp tongue. I remember you too. Zara's blood ran cold. Lee, you stood in front of me and demanded I spare a clumsy server's life. Do you know how many people have demanded anything of me and lived? Zara, I'm guessing not many. Lee, 0. You were the first. Zara, and yet I'm still breathing. Lee, for now. Zara didn't know if that was a threat or a dark joke. With men like him, it was probably both. Lee, so tell me, Zara Okonkwo, who is the lucky man who was supposed to receive your fertile announcement? Zara groaned, covering her face with embarrassment. Zara, my boyfriend. Not that it's any of your business. Lee, boyfriend. And yet you said, come home, implying he should already be there. He's not. Zara, he's busy. Lee, for 3 days. Zara froze. How did he know it had been 3 days? Zara, how do you know that? Lee, I know everything about everyone who catches my interest. And you, Zara, caught my interest 3 months ago. Before Zara could respond, her doorbell rang. She froze. It was 11 p.m. She wasn't expecting anyone. Her phone buzzed again. Lee, are you going to answer the door? Zara's heart hammered against her ribs. She approached her front door slowly, her bare feet silent on the marble floor. She looked through the peephole. And there he was. Lee Min-ho. 6 feet 2 inches of tailored black suit, sharp jawline, and eyes so dark they looked like voids. His black hair was pushed back from his face, and his hands were casually tucked into his pockets, as if showing up at a stranger's apartment at 11 p.m. was the most normal thing in the world. 2 massive bodyguards stood behind him. Zara's phone buzzed. Lee, I said I was coming to find you. I wasn't joking. Zara took a deep breath. Fear was crawling up her spine, but she refused to let it show. She was Zara Okonkwo. She had survived growing up in the roughest neighborhood in Atlanta. She had built a business empire in a foreign country. She did not cower. She opened the door. Lee Min-ho looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. His cold eyes traveled from her silk bonnet to her oversized t-shirt to her bare legs, and for a moment, he seemed almost human. You answered, he said, his voice deeper in person than she remembered. You're at my door at 11 p.m., Zara shot back, crossing her arms. Did I have a choice? There's always a choice. He tilted his head, studying her. You could have called the police. Would that have stopped you? A ghost of a smile tugged at his lips. No. Then why would I waste my time? Zara held his gaze. What do you want, Mr. Lee? He stepped closer, and she caught his scent, expensive cologne, something dark and woodsy, with an undertone of danger. I want to know, he said slowly, why a woman who has a boyfriend is ovulating alone, and why she looked so desperate that she accidentally texted a Mafia boss. Zara's jaw tightened. My personal life is none of your business. Everything in Seoul is my business. His eyes bore into hers. Especially when it involves a woman I've been watching for 3 months. Zara's breath caught. Watching me? Why? Lee didn't answer immediately. He looked past her, into her apartment, then back at her. Because you're the first person in 10 years who looked me in the eyes and didn't look away. The first person who demanded something of me without trembling. The first person who made me feel. He paused, as if searching for the right word. Curious. Curious, Zara repeated flatly. You've been stalking me because you're curious. I prefer observing. I prefer stalking. That ghost of a smile appeared again. You really aren't afraid of me. I told you. Dangerous men don't scare me. And terrifying ones do. He remembered. So which am I, Zara Okonkwo? Dangerous, or terrifying? Zara stared at him, her heart pounding so loud she was sure he could hear it. Right now? You're annoying. Lee Min-ho, the most feared mafia boss in Seoul, the man who had ordered the deaths of hundreds, the man who hadn't laughed in 5 years, threw his head back and laughed. His bodyguards exchanged shocked glances. And Zara realized she might be in more trouble than she thought. Lee didn't leave. He walked into her apartment like he owned it, dismissing his bodyguards with a wave of his hand. Zara watched him move through her space, touching nothing but observing everything. Nice place, he said. You've done well for yourself. I work hard. I know. Okonkwo Events, highest rated event planning company in Gangnam. 3 years ago you had nothing. Now you're worth 2.3 billion won. He turned to face her. Impressive. You really have been stalking me. I told you. You caught my interest. He sat down on her couch, casual as anything. Now. Tell me about this boyfriend who ignores you while you're ovulating. Why do you care? Consider it, professional curiosity. Zara didn't know why she told him. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the 3 days of being ignored. Maybe it was the fact that this terrifying mafia boss was the first person who had actually looked at her, really looked at her, in weeks. His name is Marvin, she said quietly, sitting across from him. We've been together 2 years. I thought we were building towards something. Marriage. A family. But lately. She trailed off. Lately he's been distant, Lee finished. Secretive. Coming home late. Avoiding your calls. Zara's eyes snapped to his. How do you know that? Lee pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and handed it to her. On the screen was a photo. Marvin, her Marvin, in a restaurant, holding hands with a Korean woman. They were laughing. Intimate. The photo was time-stamped yesterday. Zara felt like she had been punched in the stomach. Her name is Park Min-ji, Lee said, his voice clinical. Daughter of a minor politician. They've been seeing each other for 6 months. He's planning to propose next week. Zara couldn't breathe. 6 months. Half their relationship. Everything had been a lie. I'm sorry, Lee said, and he sounded like he almost meant it. Why are you showing me this? Zara's voice was barely a whisper. Because you deserve to know. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. And because a woman like you shouldn't waste her tears, or her eggs, on a man like him. Zara laughed, but it came out broken. A woman like me? Strong. Brilliant. Beautiful. His dark eyes held hers. Fire. You don't know me. I know enough. He stood, straightening his suit jacket. I also know that if you want, this problem can disappear. Zara's head snapped up. What do you mean, disappear? I mean Marvin Turner will never hurt you, or any woman, again. The implication hung in the air like smoke. No, Zara said firmly. I don't want you to, no. He's a cheating piece of garbage, but he doesn't deserve to die. Lee studied her for a long moment. Even after what he's done. Even then. She stood, meeting his gaze. I'm not like you. I don't solve my problems with violence. Then how do you solve them? I survive. I move on. I win. That strange expression crossed his face again, almost like admiration. Fire, he murmured. So much fire. He moved toward the door, then stopped. I'll have my men remove your boyfriend's belongings from this apartment by morning. You won't have to see his face again. I didn't ask you to do that. No. But I'm doing it anyway. He looked at her over his shoulder. Consider it a favor. From someone who understands what it's like to be betrayed. Then he was gone. Zara stood in her empty apartment, the photo of Marvin still burned into her mind. She should be devastated. She should be crying. Instead, she felt strangely free. And she couldn't stop thinking about the way Lee Min-ho had looked at her when he called her fire. True to his word, Marvin's belongings were gone by morning. Zara woke up to find every trace of him erased from her apartment, his clothes, his toiletries, even the photo of them together that had sat on her nightstand for 2 years. There was a note on her kitchen counter in elegant handwriting. The trash has been removed. K. Despite everything, Zara laughed. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. No, not unknown. Lee. Lee, did you sleep? Zara, are you really checking on me right now? Lee, answer the question. Zara, a little. You. Lee, I don't sleep much. Zara, that's not healthy. Lee, neither is texting mafia bosses at midnight, and yet here we are. Zara bit her lip to stop herself from smiling. Zara, fair point. Thank you. For removing the trash. Lee, you're welcome. Have dinner with me tonight. Zara stared at the message. Was the most dangerous man in Seoul asking her on a date? Zara, that sounds like a command, not a request. Lee, I don't know how to make requests. Only commands. Zara, then learn. Ask me properly. A long pause. Lee, Zara Okonkwo. Would you do me the honor of having dinner with me tonight? Please. Zara laughed out loud. Zara, see? That wasn't so hard. Fine. But I picked the restaurant. Lee, done. I'll send a car at 7. Okay, so our girl Zara is about to have dinner with the most dangerous man in Seoul, and something tells me this is not going to be a normal date. If you're loving this story, drop a comment and let me know. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. We're just getting to the good part, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Zara chose a small Seoul food restaurant in Itaewon, one of the only places in Seoul that reminded her of home. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't expensive. And it definitely wasn't where mafia bosses typically dined. But when Lee Min-ho walked through the door in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, he didn't even blink at the casual atmosphere. He simply scanned the room until his eyes found her, then walked over like she was the only person who existed. You look beautiful, he said, sliding into the booth across from her. Zara had chosen a fitted black dress that hugged her curves, her natural hair styled in twist-outs that framed her face. She had debated for an hour about what to wear before reminding herself that this wasn't a real date. She didn't know what this was. You clean up nice too, she said dryly. For a criminal. Businessman. Same thing. That almost smile again. You really don't hold back, do you? Life's too short. She handed him a menu. Hope you like collard greens and mac and cheese, because that's what we're having. Lee looked at the menu like it was written in an alien language. I've never had any of this. Then you're about to have your mind blown. When the food arrived, Zara watched Lee take his first bite of fried chicken. His eyes widened slightly, the most emotion she had seen from him yet. This is amazing. Life-changing. Better than whatever fancy food you usually eat. Yes. Zara grinned. Told you. Over dinner, something strange happened. The walls came down, on both sides. Lee told her about his childhood in Busan. His father had been a fisherman, his mother a seamstress. They were poor but happy. Then, when he was 15, his father was killed by a local gang for refusing to pay protection money. His mother died of grief 6 months later. I joined the gang that killed my father, Lee said quietly, not meeting her eyes. Worked my way up. Then I destroyed them from the inside. Took everything they had. Built my own empire on their ashes. So revenge, Zara said softly. That's how you became this. Yes. He finally looked at her. Does that frighten you? No. Zara stirred her sweet tea. It makes me sad. Sad? You were just a kid who lost everything. You did what you thought you had to do to survive. That's not frightening, it's tragic. Lee stared at her like she had just spoken in tongues. No one has ever called my life tragic. Then no one has ever really seen you. The air between them shifted. Something electric. Something dangerous. What about you? Lee asked, his voice rougher than before. What made you into this? Zara told him about growing up in Atlanta, the poverty, the violence, the mother who worked 3 jobs and still couldn't keep the lights on. She told him about putting herself through college, about the professor who told her she'd never amount to anything, about moving to Seoul with $3,000 and a dream. I've never told anyone all that, she admitted. Not even Marvin. Then he never deserved to know. Lee reached across the table, his fingers brushing against hers. But I do. Zara pulled her hand back. What is this, Lee? What are we doing? I don't know. He was honest. I've never done this before. Dinner. Conversation. Actually caring about what someone has to say. You've never dated? I've had arrangements. Transactions. Mutual agreements. His jaw tightened. But this is different. Different how? He leaned forward, his dark eyes intense. You make me want things I thought I had killed in myself years ago. You make me want to protect you, not because you need protection, but because the thought of anyone hurting you makes me want to burn the world down. You make me want to be better. Zara's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Lee. J1, he corrected. Call me J1. J1. The name felt intimate on her tongue. This is crazy. We barely know each other. I know enough. He echoed her words from the night before. I know you're the first person in 10 years who has made me feel alive. I know I haven't been able to stop thinking about you for 3 months. I know that when you accidentally texted me, it felt like fate. Fate, Zara repeated skeptically. I accidentally texted you about ovulating. And here we are. She couldn't help it. She laughed. And after a moment, he laughed too. You're insane, she said. Maybe. He wasn't smiling now. But I'm also serious. I want you, Zara. I want whatever you're willing to give me. And if I'm not willing to give you anything, then I'll wait. His gaze never wavered. However long it takes. Zara looked at this man, this dangerous, terrifying, surprisingly vulnerable man, and felt something shift inside her. I'm not easy, she warned. I'm stubborn and independent and I will never let you control me. I don't want to control you. I want to stand beside you. I have a career. A life. I'm not giving that up for anyone. I would never ask you to. And if you ever, hurt me like Marvin did, I will destroy you. I don't care how powerful you are. Something like pride flashed in his eyes. I would expect nothing less. Zara took a deep breath. Okay, she said finally. One more date. And we see where this goes. The smile that spread across Lee Min-ho's face was small, but it was real. And it transformed his entire face. One more date, he agreed. And then another. And another. Until you can't imagine your life without me. Confident. Determined. He stood, offering her his hand. Come. I want to show you something. Zara should have known it was too good to last. Over the next 3 weeks, she and Jaewon fell into something that felt terrifyingly like a relationship. He texted her every morning. He showed up at her office with lunch. He sat through 3-hour events, watching her work with an expression that could only be described as proud. And at night, they talked. About everything. About nothing. About the dreams they had abandoned and the fears they had never spoken aloud. Zara was falling. Hard. And for the first time, she wasn't afraid. Until she met Lee Min-soo. It happened at a charity gala, one that Zara's company was coordinating. She was in the middle of directing her team when a man approached her. He was handsome, almost as handsome as Jaewon, with the same sharp features and dark eyes. But where Jaewon's coldness hid warmth, this man's smile hid something sinister. "So you're the famous Zara," he said, his Korean smooth and polished. "My brother's new obsession." Zara's blood ran cold. "Brother?" "Lee Min-soo." He bowed mockingly. "Jaewon's younger brother. The one he doesn't talk about. There's probably a reason for that." Min-soo laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Oh, I like you. I see why he's so taken with you. What do you want?" Min-soo stepped closer, invading her space. "I want you to know what you're getting into. My brother isn't the man you think he is. He's destroyed everyone who has ever gotten close to him. Our father. Our mother. The woman he almost married 5 years ago." Zara kept her face neutral, even as her heart clenched. "Woman? Didn't he tell you?" Min-soo's smile widened. Her name was Soo-yeon. They were engaged. She was pregnant with his child. And then. He made a slashing motion across his throat. She got in the way of his ambition. "You're lying." "Am I?" Min-soo pulled out his phone, showing her a photo. A beautiful Korean woman, clearly pregnant, smiling at the camera. "She died in a car accident. Very convenient, don't you think?" Zara's mind was spinning, but she refused to show it. "Get away from me," she said coldly. "Just remember what I said, Zara." Min-soo tucked his phone away. "Everyone who loves my brother ends up dead. And you." His eyes traveled down her body. "You're too beautiful to die." He walked away, leaving Zara shaking with a mixture of fear and fury. That night, she confronted Jaewon. "Who is Soo-yeon?" The color drained from his face. "Where did you hear that name?" "Your brother." Jaewon's expression transformed into something terrifying, pure, unbridled rage. "Min-soo approached you? Answer my question. Who is Soo-yeon? And did you kill her?" The silence stretched between them, thick and suffocating. "Soo-yeon was my fiancée," Jaewon finally said, his voice hollow. 5 years ago. She was pregnant with my child. And she was murdered. By you?" His head snapped up, pain flashing in his eyes. "Never. I loved her. I loved our baby. And I would have given my life to save them." "Then what happened?" Jaewon closed his eyes. When he spoke, his voice was raw. "Min-soo happened. He was jealous, he always had been. I was the heir, the one our father chose to lead. Min-soo was cast aside. So he took the only thing that mattered to me." His hands clenched into fists. "He had her killed and made it look like an accident. By the time I found out the truth, it was too late. She was gone. My child was gone." Zara felt tears prick her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it's my greatest failure." He finally looked at her. I couldn't protect the woman I loved. I couldn't protect my child. And now Min-soo knows about you, which means I'm in danger. Yes. He crossed the room, taking her hands in his. Zara, I need you to listen to me. Min-soo is more dangerous than I am. He has no conscience, no limits. If he thinks hurting you will hurt me, he will do it without hesitation. Then what do we do? Jaewon's jaw tightened. I should let you go. Push you away. Keep you safe. Try it and I'll fight you every step of the way. I know. Despite everything, he almost smiled. That's why I'm not going to. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. I'm going to end this, he said into her hair. I'm going to end Min-soo. And then I'm going to give you the life you deserve. I don't need you to save me, Zara said. But I do need you to be honest with me. No more secrets. No more secrets, he promised. What they didn't know was that Min-soo was watching them through a camera he had planted in Zara's apartment. And he was already planning his next move. The attack came 3 days later. Zara was leaving her office late when a black van pulled up beside her. Before she could scream, hands grabbed her, pulling her inside. A needle pierced her neck. Then everything went dark. She woke up in a warehouse, tied to a chair. Min-soo stood in front of her, smiling that terrible smile. Hello again, Zara. You're going to regret this, she said, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. Oh, I doubt that. He crouched down to her level. You see, my brother has a weakness. And that weakness is you. He pulled out a knife, pressing the cold blade against her cheek. When he gets here, and he will, I'm going to make him watch while I take everything he loves. Again. Zara's mind raced. She needed to buy time. She needed. The warehouse doors exploded inward. Jaewon strode through the smoke like a demon emerging from hell. Behind him were a dozen men, all armed to the teeth. Min-soo, Jaewon said, his voice calm but deadly. Step away from her. Now. Min-soo laughed, grabbing Zara and pressing the knife to her throat. One more step and I slit her open. Jaewon stopped. For the first time, Zara saw fear in his eyes, not for himself, but for her. Let her go, he said. This is between us. No, brother. This is exactly where she belongs, in the middle of our war. Zara caught Jaewon's eyes. In that moment, something passed between them. Understanding. Trust. And a plan. Zara let her body go limp, pretending to faint. Surprised, Min-soo loosened his grip for just a second. And Zara headbutted him. Pain exploded through her skull, but it was worth it to hear his nose crack. She threw herself sideways, chair and all, hitting the ground hard but escaping his reach. Jaewon moved. It was over in seconds. One moment Min-soo was standing, the next he was on the ground, Jaewon's foot on his throat. You should have killed me when you had the chance, Min-soo choked out, blood streaming from his broken nose. I wanted to, Jaewon said. Every day for 5 years, I wanted to. But I let you live because we shared blood. He pressed down harder. That was my mistake. One I won't make again. Jaewon. Zara's voice cut through the tension. Don't. He looked at her, conflict raging in his eyes. He killed Soo-yeon. He tried to kill you. He deserves to rot in prison for the rest of his life, Zara said. But if you kill him here, like this, you become him. And I refuse to love a monster. Jaewon stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he removed his foot from Min-soo's throat. Take him, he ordered his men. Make sure he never sees daylight again. As Min-soo was dragged away, Jaewon rushed to Zara, cutting her bonds and pulling her into his arms. Are you hurt? Did he I'm fine. She touched his face, making him look at her. I'm fine, J1. I thought I lost you. His voice broke. When I found out he had you, You came for me. You saved me. You saved yourself. That headbutt was. He almost laughed. Where did you learn that? Atlanta. She grinned despite everything. You pick up a few things. J1 pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, he said, the words coming out rough and raw. I didn't want to say it. I tried to stop it. But I love you, Zara Okonkwo. I have from the moment you looked me in the eyes and didn't look away. Tears streamed down Zara's face. I love you too, you terrifying, impossible man. He kissed her then, deep and desperate and full of everything they had both been afraid to feel. When they finally pulled apart, he wiped the tears from her cheeks. Marry me, he said. Zara laughed. You're supposed to ask, not command. Fine. He dropped to one knee, right there in the warehouse, surrounded by smoke and destruction. Zara Okonkwo, will you marry me? You don't even have a ring. I'll buy you 100 rings. 1,000. I'll buy you the whole damn jewelry store. Just say yes. Zara looked at this man, this reformed monster, this complicated soul, this love she never expected, and smiled. Yes. 1 year later. Zara stood on the balcony of their villa in Jeju Island, watching the sun set over the ocean. Arms wrapped around her from behind, and she leaned back into J1's solid warmth. The guests are asking for you, he murmured against her ear. Let them wait. She turned in his arms, smiling up at him. I'm having a moment with my husband. J1, her husband, still strange to think, smiled back. A real smile, the kind he only gave her. Your mother is threatening to drag you back inside personally. Zara groaned. She loves you more than me now, I swear. I'm very charming. You literally threatened to burn down my uncle's restaurant because he overcooked your steak. He's a chef. He should know better. Zara laughed, pulling him down for a kiss. A year ago, she had accidentally texted the most dangerous man in Seoul about ovulating. Now she was married to him, running an empire by his side, surrounded by their complicated, chaotic, beautiful life. Hey, J1 said softly, pulling back to look at her. I need to tell you something. What? I'm glad you sent that text. The ovulating text. The ovulating text. He grinned, actually grinned. It was fate. It was an accident. Fate, he insisted. Zara rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. Fine. It was fate. And maybe, just maybe, she believed it too. And that, my loves, is the story of how one wrong text message led to the love of a lifetime. Now I need to know, did you see that plot twist with the brother coming? And what would you have done if a mafia boss showed up at your door at 11 p.m.? Drop a comment and let me know. If you loved this story and want more drama, more romance, and more Afro-Korean love stories, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. I post new stories every week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Share this video with a friend who loves a good romance, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.